Welcome to Facebook Live this morning. I hope you're all keeping well. Just getting myself sorted and get my coffee in. It's a cool one this morning. Hope everyone's had a good week. It's been a kind of decent enough week. Certainly the last few days have been pretty nice weather-wise here. I hope you've all had a good week wherever you are. Today we're going to discuss, it's not necessarily a question, but a topic that came up in relation to a TV show in Ireland. So we'll get to that in a second. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been emailing in their questions. We will get to them. We've got 2 more left before Christmas kicks in. We're going to have a Christmas special coming up, and there might be a few kids' questions thrown in there as well. So get your kids' questions in if they've got any burning issues that they need discussed. So we'll do that. What else? Yeah, we'll hopefully have the podcast from the show with Jerry Kelly next week. And hopefully should have another podcast for you next week or the week after, which will be an amalgamation of 4 talks I did over the last few weeks in different places around the country. So that'll be put out as well. There's some crossover, so we'll mix and match it all up. Can't even speak this morning. Today I'm joined by Jurgen Klopp. Fingers crossed for a good result tonight. As always, if you can support the Patreon page, patreon.com/Alan podcast, that'd be fantastic. It does make a difference. I really want to build this up in 2020 to become something of a more regular occurrence, but that's only possible with your support as listeners. So please do help support the Patreon page. It does make a difference. Right, that's the plug over. So the topic that we're going to discuss is in relation to, there's a show in Ireland called The Late Late Show, and it has been running for, it must be 60 odd years. It's a staple of Irish television, and the most popular show of The Late Late Show each year is The Late Late Toy Show. And The Late Late Toy Show, what they do is they just showcase different toys and stuff like that around the Christmas period. So there's a whole marketing side to it. We won't get into that, but there's usually a feel good factor to it where kids get to come on and show their talent off and express themselves, and it's a really, really, it can be a really fun show to watch with your kids, because what it does is it just builds up the Christmas excitement at the start of the month. So it's a really, really good show. This year it was, I would say, definitely the best Late Late Toy Show I've ever seen, and I'm not young. It was fantastic. I thought Ryan Tubridy, the host, did a phenomenal job of managing the kids and making it fun and enjoyable for everyone to watch. But the big standout from the show was an 8-year-old girl called Sophia. And Sophia has captured the imagination of the whole nation, and probably a bit beyond as well. So Sophia came on to the show and she spoke about being bullied. And this is one of those times where, some people can be quite critical and say, well, look, this is meant to be a fun, kind of happy show. But it was really, really important. And what was really important about it was a child discussing from her perspective the impact that bullying has had on her. So Sophia has short hair, and she said she's just a bit different to the other kids. But she gets regularly called names, she gets kicked and punched, and basically has not a great experience in school and out of which I suppose plucks at the heartstrings, brings home the impact of bullying. And as I've said many times before, bullying is the one thing I hate. I can honestly say I hate bullying. I try to watch myself if I can potentially be in a position to bully somebody. I hope I don't do it. I've definitely done it in the past, unintentionally. But hopefully as I get a bit older, I can kind of be a bit more aware of myself and how I treat people. I've been the subject of bullying. Everyone has been the subject of bullying. Everyone has at some point in their lives. So everyone has experienced it. But Sophia's was really, it really hit home because it brought to life for the children watching the show as much as the parents the impact of bullying. Now we had the usual online trolls who were trying to emphasize the bullying and the reasons to bully Sophia, but they're just idiots who were at home and absolute keyboard warriors. But I suppose what inspired me was the discussion around Sophia, and what it brought up was the importance for me in my position doing this and working with parents is to highlight what are the important things for us to recognise as parents. So what role do we have in helping our children develop and grow and become the most, I suppose, content adults that they can become? So I suppose in theory that's a lovely, very true sentiment that I'm going to assume that most of you guys out there would agree with. Yes, we all want our children to grow up content and we all want them to be happy and be good human beings. Yet there are definitely simple things that we can do as parents that can give our children the opportunity to turn into the adults that they want to be, or that we would hope for them to be, that maybe sometimes we miss. Sometimes as a result then our kids may not feel content, and other kids may feel the brunt of that discontent, and we never know about it. So one of the things that I try to highlight all the time with parents is that if you have a child who's being bullied, and it's the one thing that us as parents all across the globe worry about, is our children being bullied and taken advantage of and mistreated. But if somebody's being bullied, that means there is somebody who's doing the bullying. And it is usually a child who is bullying another child. Maybe slightly older, but it doesn't matter. They are bullying. And again, in my experience, a lot of the time, a lot of parents aren't necessarily open to or willing to hear that maybe their child is a bully. So they jump onto the defensive straight away. My child isn't like that. My child wouldn't do that. My child didn't mean it like that. But what is important is the impact that it's had on another child. So, and let's not, beat around the bush here. We live in a bullying society. We absolutely live in a bullying society. You look at any of those TV shows where they have, people putting themselves up on stage, trying to impress judges, and there are just millions of people around the world laughing and joking at them. Or those women's magazines where week 1, Beyonce is beautiful, week 2, look at the cellulite in her ass. We live in a bullying society and we accept it. Now that can be quite a hard thing to hear. And I'm not attaching any blame for anybody who buys those magazines, or I'm not attaching any blame to anybody who watches these TV shows. They are extremely popular. There is huge amounts of people who watch and buy these on a daily or weekly basis. But what we have to recognise is that what is it about this that we buy into, that we accept? So the best part of those talent shows, people say all the time, is the people who think they can sing or think they can do something and they haven't got a clue. And what do? We all have a good laugh online. But none of us know what the mental state of those people are. And a lot of people will say, well, they need to toughen up. If they're going to put themselves up there, they need to be ready to take the hits. But they have no idea of what is going to happen to them, because they do genuinely think they have a talent. So getting ridiculed is just, it's one of those things that we accept as bullying. Now, I'm not saying that we need to become, this society where we don't, laugh or joke or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is we need to look at the recipient, the person who's on the other end. You may not mean it in a malicious way. We as society may not mean it in a malicious way, but we don't know how that person is going to take it. And that's where the difficulty arises, because we could say something small. I'm sure I've done it in the past. It's definitely happened to me where somebody has something small and it's kind of hit. It's just hit. And I've no doubt I've done the same. I've said something in passing that has hit at the other person. That happens, okay? But for us as parents, what we need to do is start to look at, what does the child who's being bullied experience, and what is it they need to be supported to change, and then what does the bully need? What support do they need to change their behaviour? Excuse me. Because let's be honest, children get a name for being a bully, and people just leave that name with them as if that they cannot change. I remember meeting a kid that I was in school with, who was definitely a bully. He was a bully in school. There was no other way to describe him. And I met him in my, I suppose, probably mid to late 20s. And we got chatting, and I was just thrown back to him being this bully in school. Not so much with me, but with other people. And he was just the nicest man. He was a lovely, caring man who did a lot of helpful things for the people around him and in his job. People can change. So we're not all, kids are not going to stay the same. They may do, but they possibly, or they have potential not to, because they will mature. But our role as a parent is to try and help them, to guide them through that process as best as we can. So we need to take that responsibility as a parent to guide our kids and not assume that they'll just grow up and mature. We need to look at, okay, if someone's saying to me that my child is bullying or mistreating other people, I need to take that on board, and I need to support my child to change their behaviour in whatever way you think is the best way to do it. So whether that's putting consequences in place, whether that is taking them to meet with the person who they've bullied, maybe it's, natural consequences will kick in as well, where they might get suspended from school. And we have to look at how we react to that. Do we go crazy at the school? Do we belittle the child and their parents? Should they're just, they've got no backbone, whatever it might be. We need to start to look at ourselves and how we do what we do. And we also need to look at how we are at home. Do we allow bullying to take place at home? Do we allow children to be belittled at home? Unintentionally, obviously, but does that happen? Do we sit around and do we laugh at the people who think they can sing? Do we sit around and slag off celebrities because they're celebrities and just because they have loads of money they should be able to take it? I don't know. I don't get it. Do we encourage people who've been stigmatised? Do we slag off people for how they look? Do we slag off people about how they act? Do we belittle people in our own homes and think, well, it's in our own home, so it's okay for me to say it in front of my children? I'm not criticising you again. It's about us just being a bit more aware so that hopefully our children won't grow up being bullies up into adulthood and thinking that it's okay to belittle other people. The other thing I'd say is, and this is probably the flip side, is that helicopter parenting is the in vogue discussion at the moment, where people talk about, I'm a helicopter parent, or I will never be a helicopter parent, where essentially I am just looking over everything that my child does, and every time they fall down, I'm there to pick them up or dust them off and not allow them to get themselves back up. So reducing their ability to build their own resilience. But there's an interesting thing around helicopter parenting, is that sometimes as parents we're looking in the wrong places. So we'll jump in when our kids fall over, pick them up, and be overly dramatic around, oh my God, are you okay? Have you broken anything? And they stub the toe. But maybe we're not paying attention to the other elements in their life that maybe we should be paying more attention to. Are they mistreating other people? Are they going out to the street and hitting other kids, calling kids other names, beating up smaller children? Is that happening? And as a helicopter parent, because we're so sensitive to them, we forget that they have an impact in the world around them, and the world that's around them has an impact on them. And the other thing I'd say is that a lot of parents at work will say, well, my child doesn't go out. They, play PlayStation, or they play Xbox, or they watch YouTube in their rooms, and I know they're safe up there and they're quiet, so it's okay. But what we need to get away from is the fact that just because they're in a house, in a bedroom, doesn't mean they're not involved in bullying. So it's not like it was when you were a kid. When you were a kid, when you were in your room, literally that's all you were doing. You might have had a TV if you were lucky, if you were very lucky. But for the most part, if you had a games console in your room, you just played games on your own or with a sibling. Whereas now, there is constant connection. There is a constant stream of connection to the world. So our children can be bullied online, and they can be bullies online as well. So it is interesting the amount of times parents will say to me, my child was playing a computer game and I walked past the room and he was shouting and roaring at somebody in the headset, and the abuse that he was given to this other person. And then when I spoke to him about it, he was just saying, oh, it's just a game. Like, that's what we're doing. We're just doing it in the game. But are they just doing it in the game? Is the other person accepting that? Is the other person saying the same thing? Is the other person actually concerned or worried or scared about it? It's worth having a conversation around appropriate behaviour online, because we don't necessarily see the impact. And that goes right back to those trolls who are slagging off Sophia. They don't see the impact that has. And when we are putting across our emotion, as I said before, the Meribbean circle, 7% is only the words that we speak that they take on board, 38% is the tone of voice, and 55% is the body language. And if you're missing those first two, so all you're seeing is the words, so somebody replying back to you, that's all you see is the words. You're not getting the tone of voice, you're not getting the body language. You don't know what the impact your words are having on somebody online. And it's about taking that responsibility. So we need to sit down and talk to our kids about appropriate behaviour online. The other thing I would say is get monitoring software on their devices, because we let them off. Okay, here's a little experiment for all of you watching now or listening. I want you to go to YouTube on your phone or your laptop or your tablet, and I want you to search up gruesome murders, or search up how to commit suicide, or search up naked women, and see what pops up. See what video options you get. This is not me blaming YouTube or blaming any social media outlet. What I'm saying is we need to take responsibility to monitor what is happening on our children's devices, because they don't have the maturity or necessarily the capacity yet to moderate themselves while online. So your child may come across a video on YouTube or another platform that they may not be able to process, or they may not be able to understand that this is not real life, or that this is real life and I just can't cope with it. So go to that little experiment and then come back to me and say, okay, I'm not monitoring my children's software. There's one I use called Bark. It is excellent. It costs me £8 a month, I think, and it is worth it, because what it does is it throws up any concerning messages or pictures or videos that I can then say yes or no to. Okay. Also, put restrictions on your kid's phone so that they can't just download any app they want. That there needs to be some sort of safety measures put in place for your child. This is for your child. Now, you can choose not to do it. That's okay. But don't be surprised then if something pops up, or if your child starts to look at things that aren't appropriate, age appropriate. We need to take responsibility, because the world will teach our children how to be adults if we don't do it for them. Now, I'm not saying we need to be overbearing and watching everything. I don't see everything on my children's devices. I don't want to. I don't have the time to look at everything on my children's devices. But what I do want to know is that if they look at something, or if somebody sends them something, or they send something to somebody else that needs to be addressed by me, I can do it. Okay? The other thing I'd say is that sit down. If you go online, you will see the Late Late Toy Show segment with Sophia. It is out there. Sit down with your kids and use it as a discussion point. I did see something online where one mother was saying that she was actually complaining about the segment, saying that it was difficult for her to explain to her child about transgender. There was absolutely nothing to do with transgender. Sophia just had short hair. There was an assumption made by this parent, and this parent took a ton of backlash. And again, I'm not saying that it's right that this person took a ton of backlash, but it's important for us to take responsibility for ourselves and to look at it from the perspective of this is an opportunity to start a discussion point. And the most important thing as a parent is communication, the ability to communicate with our kids, to discuss things that need to be talked about and that they need to understand. So go search up Late Toy Show, Sophia, and you will get the segment. Watch it yourself. Make sure you're comfortable with it and you are comfortable with having the discussion with your kids. It's not about being, talking about something that isn't important to them. It's about discussing the impact that bullying can have on another human being, and that what can we do to not be one of those people that bullies, and see how you get on. Thank you so much. I think it's important that we all take the time to sit down with our kids and discuss bullying, whether it's online or in the street or in school or in home, whatever it might be, and let them know that it's not okay if they ever feel like they're being bullied, or if they are bullying, let them know that what bullying behaviour looks like, because they may not understand, and then you may need to put consequences in place if need be. So it's so important that us as parents take that responsibility. Okay, that's us for this week. I hope you guys are well. We've got some messages. Hi Jennifer, hi Tana. Good to see you guys. Until next week, we have 2 left. We have 2 left before Christmas. Do get your Christmas questions into me. We're going to have a Christmas special. Do get your kids' questions into me. We are going to have a kids' questions special as well. Until next time, take care, guys.